These are the 20 craziest moments in NHL history.
One of the referees got caught, but oh, there goes a pane of glass.
That's great stuff.
And for number 20, pay attention to the puck.
Some shorthanded goals. No, not the Panthers yet.
Oh, no! Deflection of the net!
And that's going to count.
It hit the referee in the corner. He's down injured and it went in.
I have never seen...
Yikes, that's hard to watch. But not as hard as number 19, because Dan Boyle once scored the craziest own goal ever.
O'Reilly chasing it down, but Murray there, and then it's in the net. The game is over.
And Boyle put it in his own net.
Yo, an own goal in overtime? That's tough. But at number 18, Orlov scored the weirdest goal I've ever seen.
Orlov into the flow. Orlov, beautiful move to the forehand, and Pickard makes the save, denying. It's loose. Orlov's still there. He scores. Now you see him. Now you don't.
How about this move by Orly going outside?
Now for number 17, we gotta talk about the Anaheim Ducks, because back in 2015, they were going against the Chicago Blackhawks in the playoffs. And in the third period, they were down 3-1. But that's when they did something historical.
Settled down by Silverberg. Silverberg able to get the line. Pedwood, score! Pass taken away by Tiemann and then given over. Score! It is Bolesky and the game is tied.
That's right. 2 goals in 20 seconds. But it wasn't going to stop there. Because even though the Blackhawks coach had his team talk, it wasn't going to change anything.
Chalmerson cross-bodied there. Off of Shaw and gets Slappin shot. Save, rebound, score! It's Perry! And it's 4-3 Ducks.
3 goals in 37 seconds? That's wild. Good thing the Blackhawks won in Game 7, otherwise they'd still be crying. Just like Thomas Vokoun at number 16, because he was betrayed by his defenders not once, but twice.
Kovalchuk on Vokoun, stopped by Vokoun, and then Kovalchuk scores! Vokoun made the save, he couldn't find it, and Vokoun is down in his net. I believe Keith Ballard broke his...
No wonder it takes an extra set of balls to be a hockey goalie. But number 15 took things even further. Keep an eye on the puck.
All the way, and tape to tape. Here's Lindgren! Backhander! Oh my goodness! Odenkirk just saved a goal! Can you believe it?
There ain't no way he's gonna pull off a save like that again. But there ain't no way we're seeing a moment like number 14 either. Cause Robbie Ftorek lost his cool and then threw a bench on the ice.
Ftorek very upset with this turn of events.
I know hockey players have anger issues, but this dude took it to a whole new level. But number 13, on the other hand, isn't just crazy, it's impossible. Because during the 2010 Stanley Cup Final, the Blackhawks went up against the Flyers, and in Game 6, with the score all tied, Kane did something that had the whole stadium in shock.
Watched by Kimmo Timonen to the net! Leighton stopped it. Where's the puck? It came loose on the other side. It's over. Patrick Kane has scored the goal. The Chicago Blackhawks.
I mean, not a single player beside Kane understood what had happened. Not even the goal horn went off. And for it to happen in a deciding Stanley Cup game, that's insane. But at least Kane was having the time of his life. Unlike number 12, the time one grown-ass man stole a puck from a kid. See, during a Penguins game, Dan Bylsma tried making a kid's dream come true by throwing him a puck. But instead, someone robbed him of his dream.
Dan Bylsma is trying to throw it to that kid up there in the red. Look at this. The gentleman grabs it right out and puts it in his pocket and sits down.
It's all good though, because the Penguin staff located the guy. Not only did they give him a game puck, but an actual Crosby jersey. And you can tell that the fat bald man wasn't happy about it. But anyways, for number 11, Roberto Luongo did something that NHL fans will never forget. See, during an overtime playoff game against the Ducks, Roberto felt something was off, and he had to rush to the dressing room. But when the play restarted, he was nowhere to be found, because it turns out bro had eaten some bad shrimp.
In 2007, Roberto Luongo took an extended bathroom break during a playoff game and winds up missing the start of overtime. He'd eventually get back in the game.
Yikes. Bro playing without wiping his own ass? But alright, we've reached the top 10 craziest moments in NHL history. So things are really about to get wild. And what a better way to start than with the time that Kirby Dach silenced a whole arena. See, back in 2019, the Blackhawks selected Dach as their 3rd overall pick, and fans were already hyped to see their new Kane prodigy. But things didn't go as planned. See, Dach suffered a lot of injuries, and as a result, he was traded to the Montreal Canucks back in 2022. And it just didn't really make any sense to him, because deep down he knew he had a lot more to give. But on the 25th of November 2022, things would take a wild turn. See, Blackhawk fans weren't super thrilled to see their 3rd pick on the ice. And with the score all tied, the game would be decided with a shootout. And that's when Dach would finally get his chance to clown Blackhawk fans.
Dach, to defeat his former team, scores!
Yeah, look at him. Good for Kirby Dach.
Damn! This dude got the ultimate revenge. And so did number 9, because one fan saved a team manager's life. During a Canucks home game, the assistant equipment manager Brian Hamilton would have his life completely changed. See, one fan noticed something strange on his neck, and that's when she did everything possible to get his attention. However, there was one big problem. Hamilton had no idea she was calling for him, so he ignored it and moved on.
And I'm like, okay, but I kind of kept going all in one motion.
That's when the fan refused to give up and did everything she could to get her message across. So she put her phone up against the glass with a clear message. The mole on the back of your neck is cancer. Hamilton somehow made it all the way through the game without rushing to the hospital, hoping that all of this was just a big nightmare. Little did he know, though, the girl in the stands would save his life.
We flew home that night, and it wasn't until the next day that I asked Jessica, I said, hey, Jess, is there a mole on the back of my neck? And she's looked and she's like, yeah, we're going to see a doctor about this, which luckily I followed up with the doctor and he didn't like it. And then the following home game, they cut it out. And then we got the biopsy, and sure enough, the phone call is, we're going to diagnose you of cancer and we're going to cure you of cancer in the same phone call.
This fan literally saved his life. That's wild. That's not the only thing that's wild, because at number 8, one referee makes one of the craziest catches you'll ever see.
Goes right back in. Deeks with the puck. Got knocked away from him, and a stick goes flying out. Well done. That's actually Francois Saint Laurent who made the grab.
You would think a dude would get a raise after that show, but nah. All he got was an applause from the crowd. But number 7's got a lot more, because Patrick Line once made a fan $1 million by scoring goals. See, in 2018, Sobeys Score and Win ran a contest where one fan would randomly be chosen as the grand prize winner when a single player scores 3, 4, or 5 goals in one game. So a Winnipeg pastor, Christopher Haley, was chosen to be part of the contest. And during that season, Patrick Line was doing all types of crazy shit. And when it mattered most, he didn't just score 3 goals.
Going back around to the corner line, in front, scores! Buckland back down for Wheeler. The line scores! And the Jets 3-on-1. Here's Connor. The line scores! Taken away by Sundqvist. Lost it off the skate of Little. Line scores! Floated to the corner. Goes after the puck. Petrangelo in there as well. Little in front. Here's Line. Scores! It's a high five for Patrick Laine.
Well, you know, we've been talking a little bit. We haven't made anything. Right now, our splurge is going to be we're both going to get a new pair of glasses. So when I was a kid, I was a big hockey fan. Over the years, it lasted a little bit, not as much, but certainly now, I'll tell you, I'm a big Patrick Laine fan.
Those glasses better be made out of gold. But hey, not all moments need to involve winning shitloads of money. Because for number 6, one player almost destroyed his career. Now, things weren't always dark for Evander Kane. Because whether you like him or not, Kane has always possessed a certain set of skills on the ice, which has made him into a good player. And that's even more clear when he does stuff like this.
Kane off the boards. Bouchard make the one-timer. Breaks the lane. Outside by Evander Kane. And Edmonton. Draisaitl powers through. Flattens Belmar. Here's Bouchard dishing off. Nugent Hopkins chips it down low. And now Bouchard wide open. Hyman. Kane, the timer scores!
But people weren't having issues with him on the ice. Instead, it was his off-ice issues that would have him come crashing down. In December 2015, he missed practice the day before after going to another game in Toronto, which would eventually lead to disciplinary actions by the team. The situation also had people wondering how committed he really was to the sport. And it didn't end there, because in 2016, the NHL received information that charges were being filed against him for physical harassment during an altercation at a bar in Buffalo. Eventually, Kane would reach a settlement, which would in turn start a domino effect, because just a few years later, his financial situation would take a huge hit, as he was sued by a Las Vegas casino after failing to repay them $500,000.
Would you say all of those things are behind you?
Yes, 100%.
Kane was beyond help at this point. Mentally, he wasn't interested in seeing his issues. And to make the situation even worse, in January of 2021, he had accumulated $27 million in debt, with most of it being gambling losses. And so that left him with no other options but to file for bankruptcy.
Sometimes it's hard to decipher, and there's different reasons at different points. You learn, you understand about why you did those things or why you made those decisions specific to gambling. And it's something I've worked on. And it's something that is no longer a part of my life.
But honestly, it seems like he's kind of turned things around since then. And get this, we're at number 5, and we gotta talk about the 1988 Stanley Cup Finals, because it was ruined by a power failure. See, during Game 4, it was a do-or-die game for the Bruins, as they were down 3-0, and everyone was buzzing, because with the scores tied at 3-3 and only 3 minutes left on the clock, the Bruins had a chance to get a lifeline.
This goes to an
The power is out at Boston Garden. The players have left the ice or are in the process of leaving the ice as of just a couple of minutes ago. So with the break in the telecast, you are not missing the hockey game. The hockey game itself has stopped at Boston Garden.
Yeah, a power failure rocked the Boston Garden and caused the game to be suspended. And even though it would mean another game for the Bruins to save their season, they would unfortunately have to play at the home of the Oilers. The Bruins were getting swept in the Stanley Cup. Now at number 4, we gotta talk about what some call the most cursed moment in NHL history. See, in 1975, the Sabres made it to the Stanley Cup Finals, where they would make their worst decision ever. But before we get there, we gotta roll back the time. Because back in 1940, the Buffalo Sabres decided to build a hockey arena without air conditioning. Now I know what you might think. It's freezing there. And you might be right. But on May 20th, 1975, the Sabres would finally make it to the Stanley Cup Final, where they would play the Philadelphia Flyers. And during Game 3, the temperature would reach 90 degrees Fahrenheit. So, you know their balls were sweating. But theirs weren't the only ones, because one bat decided to come down to the ice level to cool off. But instead, something magical happened. Sabres forward Jim Lorentz would hit the bat out of the air, and another Flyers player would get thrown into the penalty box. And just a few seconds later, a weird fog would rise from the ice, making it impossible for goalies to see the puck.
because later in the game, fog started coming out of nowhere inside the arena, and you couldn't see the puck.
Eventually, the Sabres would win the game 5-4, but losing the series. And since then, they've only made it to the Stanley Cup once. I don't know about y'all, but if you mess with Dracula, you gotta have some kind of curse on you. But if you think that was crazy, I don't think you'll see number 3 coming. See, back in the day, NHL players didn't have the same protection protocols as they have now. Instead, you always had to keep an eye on the other team, or else they would take you out in a second. And on the 26th of February 1994, Mike Madonna was gonna go viral before the term would even be a thing.
Cross the line, Dolan. Back for Madonna. Oh, was he hit? Messier looked like he hit him in the head with the shoulder. And Madonna may have been knocked out here.
Yeah, this dude got manhandled. And believe me when I tell you, this wasn't going to be the end of it, because doctors said Madonna needed to be rushed to the hospital. Only the way to the ambulance would be worse than the hit.
An ambulance. He is conscious. Yeah. You can see the eyes open. Oh, look at that. Oh, my goodness. Oh!
Come on, man. How are you gonna drop a man with a neck injury? But number 2 is only crazy for 31 teams. Because we gotta talk about the craziest tradition in NHL history. These are market store owners Jerry and Pete Cusimano, who also happen to be 2 massive fans of the Detroit Red Wings. And get this, they did something that would forever change the Red Wings. See, back in 1952, the Detroit Red Wings would face off against the Toronto Maple Leafs and the Montreal Canadiens. Now, obviously, only one of these teams would win the Stanley Cup, so every fan was buzzing. And that's when the Red Wings did something no one saw coming. They butchered the Canadiens, sweeping both teams and making it an 8-0 run. And that's when the two brothers, Jerry and Pete, made a long-lasting impact. Because during their final game, the brothers threw a dead octopus onto the ice. And even though it sounded super weird, it actually had a deeper meaning. See, the octopus has 8 legs, and each leg represents each win for the Red Wings. So, not gonna lie, that's pretty dope. And what's even doper is that very tradition is still alive. And not only that, it became such a huge thing that the Red Wings' own mascot is an octopus. But look, we still gotta talk about number 1, the craziest moment in NHL history. The time one fan almost won his team the Stanley Cup Final. See, the Montreal Canadiens were playing the semifinal against the Blackhawks in 1962. And during that period, the Canadiens were dominating the NHL, winning 5 consecutive cups, and were looking for their 6th. And this looked like the year where the Canadiens weren't going to win another Stanley Cup. So one fan had to take matters into his own hands, and his name was Ken Killander, a 25-year-old diehard fan from Montreal. And on April 1st of 1962, Ken went to reporters to announce his plans to steal the Stanley Cup from the Chicago Blackhawks, saying the cup belongs in Montreal, nowhere else. But eventually, no one believed him, especially since it was on April Fool's. Ken wasn't joking though, because when he later arrived at the stadium, he stopped by to admire the cup that was displayed in a glass case. But that was never going to stop him, and in the second period with Montreal down 3-0, he had seen enough. He made his way down to the lobby, picked the lock open, took the cup, and ran to the nearest exit out of the stadium. However, getting away with a 4-foot-tall, 25-pound silver trophy wasn't going to be easy. And so the police didn't have much trouble catching him. In the end, no one pressed charges, but the judge did fine him $10. Honestly, there was no way he was going to save the Canadiens, because to be honest, that's the goaltender's job. And they've pulled off some sick moves to save their team from losing. So if you want to see that, you need to click the video right here. Click it. Come on. I'll see you there. Peace.